Welcome back. Let's hop back in my Wayback Machine and move forward almost a decade from our last trip to the year I graduated from high school. Wow, was it really that long ago? 1994. Bill Clinton had just completed his first year as president, and on January 25th gave his first State of the Union address. On February 12th, while the Winter Olympics were holding their opening ceremonies in Lillehammer, Norway, in nearby Oslo, one of my favorite paintings, The Screen by Edvard Munch, is stolen from the National Gallery. It will be recovered 3 months later. March would see the 66th Academy Awards, with Whoopi Goldberg becoming both the first African-American host as well as the first woman to host the show solo. The tragic genocide of hundreds of thousands of Tutsi and moderate Hutu Rwandans over the course of 100 days would shock the world. This would lead to the creation of the International Criminal Court at The Hague, designated to prosecute war crimes and crimes against humanity. On a more positive note, at the far end of Africa, we witnessed the first fully multiracial elections in South Africa, marking an end to apartheid. Nelson Mandela would go on to win that election and be sworn in as their first democratic president. In theaters, audiences were also looking to Africa, as Disney's The Lion King became the highest-grossing hand-drawn animated feature. Moviegoers would also stampede to the theaters to watch Forrest Gump, Pulp Fiction, Speed, and Interview with a Vampire. After being accused of the murder of his ex-wife, O.J. Simpson led police on a low-speed chase in his infamous white Ford Bronco. In sports, Major League Baseball players go on strike in August, causing the World Series to be canceled for the first time since officially being established in 1905. TV saw a group of 6 20-somethings meet in a local coffee shop as Friends kicked off its dominance of Thursday nights for the next 10 years. We also saw the return of medical dramas with both ER and Chicago Hope. Many of today's young stars were born in this year, including Justin Bieber, Dakota Fanning, and One Direction's Harry Styles. Long before Pandora, Google Play, or Apple Music, student radio station WXYC from the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill initiates the first internet radio broadcast. Beating Microsoft's Internet Explorer by almost a year, the now-defunct Netscape releases the first web browser on December 15th. Now let's head back to the modern day before a time cop shows up to arrest us. Just remember, the same matter can't occupy the same space at the same time.
I wanted to take a moment and review some of the programs that I have taken part in and give my honest assessment of the overall results and expectations. The workout routine that gave birth to my journey toward health and fitness was P90X. It was quite challenging, and especially for me that was weighing in at just under 300 pounds. The program includes pull-ups. Are you kidding me? You would have laughed if you saw me trying to do a pull-up. Better yet, you would have laughed at watching me attempt P90X yoga. The first 45 minutes is the most intense, and the rest is mostly relaxing stretches. Well, relaxing is subjective to how well you can do the moves. Honestly, guys, there was nothing relaxing during this 3-month program, but I would totally opt to do it again. While many of the moves were challenging and I found myself sore most all of the time, I really enjoyed my experience. Tony Horton, the star trainer of P90X, likes to work with muscle confusion, where you are always keeping your body guessing and thus never acclimating to your workout to the point of plateau. Tony himself can be a bit annoying, with his ridiculous jokes and sometimes questionably misogynistic expectations of men versus women. Despite these quirks, I found him a great addition to my living room. The fact that he did not take himself so seriously made me fall in love with fitness. This newfound love led to our next adventure, Insanity, and it is just as the name states. After taking a week off to recover from P90X for whatever reason of foolishness and stupidity, I decided to see what Shaun T had to offer. I am so glad that I did it once. This was brutal, guys. It was no joke. The only thing that kept me motivated was my competitive nature and wanting to see if I could ever make it through an entire workout without having to stop to catch my breath. Insanity is no joke, but don't let me scare you from taking on the challenge. You owe it to yourself to be all that you can be. This program is only 2 months long, and thank goodness for that. It is similarly structured to the likes of P90X, and I'm not surprised, as I then found out that they came from the same workout group, Beachbody. After Insanity, we divided our routines up for a while, and then we discovered there was a P90X too. Oh, game on, guys. I'll let you know how it goes. See you next time.
There are certain characters on TV that everyone can immediately envision a face when you say their name. Fonzie from Happy Days, Jack Bauer from 24, Mulder and Scully from The X-Files, Tony Soprano, Homer Simpson, Walter White, the list goes on and on. But what about those great characters who you only catch a glimpse of, who you only hear, or maybe you only hear about? Over the years, there have been many memorable characters like that. Some are only ever referenced, while others were regular, integral characters that the show went out of their way to keep hidden. The first show that comes to mind is Charlie's Angels. For years, viewers watched as a rotating crew of 3 women went on missions at the behest of a disembodied voice. I mean, Charlie was in pretty much every episode, and his name was in the title, but you never see him. Though voiced by John Forsythe for the entire run of the show, they tried to keep it mysterious by keeping his name out of the credits. Another disembodied voice was featured heavily in one of my favorite shows. Mork and Mindy had Robin Williams playing an alien studying humans on Earth and reporting back to his boss, Orson. The most you saw of Orson was a rather large shadow. Otherwise, it was just the deep and sonorous voice of Ralph James appearing near the end of most episodes. Then there was the portrayal of an actual person. For many years, Seinfeld's George Costanza had a job working for the New York Yankees, and so would occasionally be called into the office of Yankees owner George Steinbrenner. Since they couldn't get the real Steinbrenner, instead they used a body double that you only ever saw from behind, with the show's creator Larry David providing the voice. Some shows had important characters who you never get to see, and a recurring theme was to keep the spouse or girlfriend of a major character hidden. There are a number of shows that probably saved a lot of money by not casting those characters. Barney Fife from The Andy Griffith Show had a long-running crush on the never-seen Juanita. Will and Grace's beloved Karen had an overweight husband, Stan, who provided her millions while remaining unseen. Described as being like the sun, but without the warmth, fortunately for us, we never saw Niles' wife Maris on a single episode of Frasier. Despite being the butt of many jokes, we never laid eyes on Norm's wife from Cheers either. Even the Mary Tyler Moore Show had Phyllis's husband Lars, who managed to have an affair with another character while remaining off camera. But in my mind, there is none more mysterious than the elusive Wilson. For 8 seasons on Home Improvement, Tim Taylor would take his problems to the backyard and discuss them with his wise and mysterious neighbor, Wilson W. Wilson Jr. During the entire time, Earl Hindeman kept his face obscured, often hidden by the fence or whatever unusual object he was holding at the time. The show was filmed in front of a live studio audience, but even when the actors would come out to take a bow after filming, Earl would hold a cutout of a fence in front of his face. It was only during the bows of the final episode that he dropped the fence and smiled a bittersweet goodbye.
Oh, I do love weddings and decided to do an all-wedding special this week. After all, spring is upon us, ladies. Let's be bold this season. Let's make a statement. It's your wedding after all, and you deserve it. Why not do so in this crocheted wedding cocoon?
A wedding cocoon? I mean, I've heard of saving yourself for your wedding night, but this is ridiculous.
If the wedding cocoon is too much coverage for you, why not put yourself in a more revealing ensemble like this halo of a charm? Nothing says freedom like having wings. Oh, this one reminds me of Princess Leia in Return of the Jedi.
Are you kidding me? First of all, your halo of a charm has a white muff. Smuggling bunnies reaches a whole new level. The second look, pretty cool and reminiscent of Lilu in The Fifth Element, but does not belong in a wedding. Big bada boom.
Don't forget bridesmaids. Why not go for a Sound of Music look and have them match the decor? Or flowers for a truly bohemian prairie look? Or go full rave.
Laugh, guys. It's okay. These are ridiculous ideas. Matching the curtains on purpose is different than having nothing else to make a garment out of. And may I remind you, Julie Andrews used the curtains for play clothes for the kids. Bohemian Prairie, more like floral disaster. And this? Did I just walk into some back alley hoochie mama gathering? What the?
It's your special day, and make sure your guests know it. Why not do so with a crown? You will be the envy of all your friends. No one will soon forget your wedding.
No one will forget you. But not because you looked great. Try pompous, pretentious, self-righteous, obnoxious. Lastly, the cake is for eating, not wearing.
Getting the right cake to combine all of the things you love and care for is essential. If I were getting married, I would do like this gal and get a cake in my own likeness. Can you imagine how excited your guests will be to see the two of you? One a feast for their eyes and the other a feast for their tummies.
Kudos Kudos to whoever made this cake, as they did a fantastic job, but I would still find it awkward to be at someone's wedding, and then later I get to eat them. I am not Hannibal Lecter, and I am not amused.
The honeymoon is the perfect time to make a baby, and what better way to get your hubby in the mood than honeymoon cake with a baby? This cake screams mama is ready to have some fun.
Screams? Yes. Right? No. Shock. Just when I think it can't get any worse. Just don't.
You take the good, you take the bad, you take them both, and there you have the facts of life.
While it may seem hard to believe, humans don't actually have the largest brains relative to body mass. Mice and small birds have a greater ratio.
When it comes to mass, your brain makes up about 2% of your body, and yet consumes about 20% of your oxygen and 25% of your glucose intake.
I wouldn't recommend putting your brain on a diet anytime soon, even if it is the organ in your body that contains the most amount of fat. No amount of cardio will change that.
Eat as you will, as crash diets are known to be quite unhealthy for the brain. It can, in a state of starvation, begin to consume itself.
I recommend chocolate. Apparently, the smell of chocolate can increase theta brainwaves, which in turn produce a sense of relaxation.
Another great way to stay relaxed is forgetting. Deleting useless information helps the nervous system retain its plasticity.
While the first sense to develop in utero is the sense of touch, sight is your most impactful sense, as we process the greatest amount of information with our eyes.
Estrogen, which exists in both men and women, is responsible for better memory functions.
That could explain why the greater majority of women remember things better than most men.
A man processes the sound of another man's voice in the same part of the brain that processes simple sounds, like machinery or the sound of a car.
While he processes the sound of a woman's voice in the part of the brain that processes music.
We have known for a long time that classical music aids with focus and concentration. But as a whole, music in general is good for your mind.
In fact, it helps you exercise. It distracts your brain from focusing on the fatigue or the pain involved, allowing you to squeeze in one more rep. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.
This is Jason
And Ahmed,
signing off. And the party continues.
Hey guys, be sure to come back next week as we're going to be dividing our segments up into Peafo Shorts.
So if you have a favorite, be sure to come back and check it out.
And as always guys, subscribe.
Subscribe.
We'll see you next time.